Hello, everybody. Timothy Bailey here with another episode of Spoken English. This is episode 2. If you missed the first episode, just go back on our Facebook page or YouTube channel and check that one out. Today we are looking at the S suffix and the ED suffix. Remember, a suffix are groups of letters that come at the end of a word. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Washes, washes. And you can say them since this is spoken English and we're working on pronunciation. You can say them along with me. Washes. Sounds, sounds. Stops, stops. Then on the ED side, added, added. Danced, danced. Stayed, stayed. Well, the fascinating thing about these two prefixes is that even though it's one prefix S and one ED, each of them actually make 3 different sounds. If you heard it while we were practicing right here. Let's go ahead and look first at the S suffix. So remember last time we talked about voiced sounds. That's where our voice box vibrates. And these are the sort of letter sounds that are voiced. And we talked about voiceless, so no vibration and wind. And these are the letter sound over here. Okay? So for the S suffix, a voiceless ending, that is any ending of a word that's over here, the S suffix sounds like S. So if the word ends with t, k, f, or the S suffix sounds like S. Okay. Now notice I left out some of them, and we'll look at that for our third rule. Let's try this rule. Taps. So you can see the P. P is a voiceless sound. The word ends with P. Take off the S for a second. We're adding the suffix S for the third person. He taps his fingers. So it sounds like S. Taps. Pots. Pots. Kits. Kits. Myths. Myths. So all of these, with these endings, should sound like S on the end. Maybe like a snake, right? This one I marked in particular because this TH before the suffix S is particularly difficult. You really have to make sure you pronounce the TH. So myths, myths, right? Pay attention to how your mouth is moving. Myths, myths. Okay? If you don't say the TH, it might sound like miss, miss, but that's a different word. Okay? So again, how you pronounce words can affect your ability to communicate. Let's look at our second rule for the suffix S. A voiced ending, that's over here, sounds like Z. So the S suffix, which is the letter, sounds like Z. Let's look at some examples. Fibs, fibs, to tell lies. Dads, dads. Wears, wears. Bows, bows, as in for Christmas on the present. Or the verb bows, bows. Okay? And our last rule for the suffix S, there are 5 particular sounds that have their own special ending, right? These are the least common, but it is important when you're learning the pronunciation of certain words. So the sound S, Z, Sh, Ch, and J. If the word ends with any of those sounds, the suffix sounds like us or is. us, or is. Remember this schwa, the upside down E is Let's look at some examples. Misses, misses, whizzes, whizzes, wishes, wishes, right? And notice that for these two sounds, some people tend to say us, some people tend to say is. I think for myself, when I think back, oh, how do I speak? I tend to do this one more. So I would say misses, whizzes, wishes, churches, and bridges. Mine, I think, sound more like this. Other people in other parts of Ohio or other parts of the world, right, might sound more like this. That's why there are two of them listed here. Okay. All right, so there's our suffix S. Let's move on to our suffix ED. Here's our voiced information again, so the sound letters and our voiceless information. Okay. A voiceless ending, right, over here, sounds, the ED suffix sounds like t. So if the word ends p, t, k, f, or the ED sounds like t. Let's look at some examples. Tapped, tapped, booked, booked. I booked a hotel room for our vacation. Bust, bust, right? The children were bused to the school, right? This one, I would suggest also may sound more like a D, right? So this one's a little bit tricky. Smashed, smashed, okay? A voiced ending, which is over here, the suffix ed, will sound like d. Some examples. Lobbed, lobbed, bugged, bugged, halved, halved, lunged, lunged, laid, laid. Again, I have another one with the tricky pronunciation before the suffix. The V here, make sure you pronounce that. Halved, halved. Your top teeth really scrape across your bottom lip. Halved. This one here is also tricky, right? The word is lay, right? L-A-Y, right? But we're doing the past tense, right? So we're changing it to A-I-D. But the ending sound is A, which is a vowel. All vowels are voiced. So a voiced ending, such as A, is pronounced D. So laid. Okay. And the last one, this is particular for only T and D endings. Either of these sound endings give us ud or id, similar to the S suffix. Let's look at some examples. Jotted, petted, winded, nodded, founded. And again, some people tend to say ud, kind of, and some people say id. For myself, if you listen, I think most of mine sounded very clearly like id and not ud. Okay? Both are fine, just different people will do different things. All right, let's go ahead and practice some. So here are our sounds for the S suffix, z, us, or is. Here are the letter sort of and sound representations. You think about what it sounds like. Which sound is it? Cats, cats, and S. Words, words, the Z. Loves, loves. Causes, causes. Watches, watches. Beds, beds. And I forgot my S on this one, so imagine there's an S there on the end, right? Size, size. Okay. Let's go over to our ed suffix t, d, or ud, id, and our sort of letter sound representations. Scarred, scarred. Called, called. Walked, walked. Whoops, I did two of them. Wanted, wanted. Decided, decided. Continued, continued. Right? For both of these, right, don't be confused. This ends with GH, it ends with an H. This one ends with a UE, right? The last sound is what we're looking at. So the last sound here, the final sound, is I, sigh. There's only two sounds, S, I. So that is a voiced sound, right? So it gets the Z, size. Remember my S is there, even though I forgot it. Here, the last sound is U, U. So again, remembering our rules, a voiced sound, all vowels are voiced, makes it continued, d, because it's a voiced sound. I hope that was helpful. Here are a couple links, right, for the S endings and the ED endings. Next time you're practicing or you're listening to someone speaking English, think about your suffixes. S, is it s, z, or us, is? And your ed suffix, is it t, d, ud, or id? I hope this was helpful. Thank you, and have a great day.